Santa didn't disappear. He went where the cameras don't go. This movie addresses the issue left hanging at the end of the movie. They waited for Santa, but he didn't show up. Did you show up? Here is how Santa shows up today. Empty streets, shelters, hospital corridors, refugee camps, lonely rooms, Christmas passes, but some people are still waiting. The people are the homeless, the sick, the elderly refugees, the depressed, the unseen, and lots more, not statistics, faces and stories. Where is Santa now? He is in soup kitchens, in hospital wards, in shelters, in quiet acts of kindness. Santa as a spirit, not a costume. When ordinary people become Santa, the volunteers, the nurses, the teachers, the neighbors, the strangers who stop, and why this matters beyond Christmas. Kindness must be consistent. Compassion must be intentional. Love must be lived. Will you carry him? Not with guilt, not by pressure, simply by invitation. He didn't wear red, but he showed up. This is the spirit that should never sleep when kindness becomes a calling. Not every room has laughter. Not every night ends with a song. Some rooms are quiet, too quiet. Hospital corridors where time feels frozen. Lonely beds where pain waits patiently. Empty chairs beside windows that once held hope. While the world celebrates. Some people are simply trying to survive the night. There are children who do not wait for toys, because they are waiting for parents who never returned. There are patients who do not wish for miracles, only for someone to sit with them long enough to feel human again. There are the elderly, whose names are remembered by no one but God. These are the forgotten, not because they don't matter, but because the world is always in a hurry. And then, Santa walks in, not as a symbol, not as a costume, not as a tradition, but as presence. A hand that holds another, a laugh that breaks silence, a gift that says, I see you. This Santa does not fly. He walks hospital halls. He sits on cold floors. He listens. He kneels beside hospital beds, not to perform miracles, but to restore dignity. He visits orphanages, not with promises, but with time. He goes to shelters, not to be applauded, but to serve quietly. Because generosity is not loud. Real compassion never needs an audience. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Santa cannot reach everyone. Not because he doesn't care, but because he was never meant to do it alone. Santa was always an idea, a mirror, a calling. And the question was never, will Santa come? The real question has always been, who will become him? What if generosity didn't end in December? What if kindness didn't need a holiday? What if next year you showed up in January, in March, in August? To the neighbor no one checks on, to the patient everyone avoids, to the stranger everyone walks past. You don't need a red suit. You don't need gifts. You only need courage to notice, to stop, to care. When you give time, you give life. When you listen, you heal wounds no medicine can reach. When you show up, you become the miracle. Santa was never about Christmas. He was about compassion that moves, love that interrupts, kindness that refuses to wait. The story is no longer about Santa. It's about you. The forgotten are still waiting. The rooms are still quiet. The corridors are still long. And the suit has always been optional. Santa came, but this time, he came in many forms. People often ask this simple question, is Santa only American? And on the surface, the answer feels obvious. Red suit, white beard, big smile, Coca-Cola commercials, shopping malls. It looks American. But Santa's story didn't begin in a mall, and it didn't begin in America. Long before bright lights and brand deals, there was a man. Not in the North Pole, not in New York, but in a small town called Myra, in what we now know as Turkey. His name was Nicholas, a bishop, a servant, a man whose greatest miracles happened in silence. He gave to the poor without announcing it. He helped children without expecting praise. He showed up at night and disappeared before anyone could say, "Thank you." That was Santa, before Santa had a name. As centuries passed, Nicholas's story crossed borders. Different regions shaped him differently. In Europe, he became many things. In Netherlands, he is Santa Claus, arrives on a white horse, gives gifts to children. In Germany and Austria, he is Christkind, Weihnachtsmann. In UK, he is Father Christmas, symbol of joy, feasting, and goodwill. In Nordic regions, he is influenced by folklore spirits and winter legends. Then came America, and America did something powerful. It told Santa's story louder. American writers like Clement Clark Moore gave him reindeer, sleigh, chimney visits. Poets gave him Christmas Eve. Artists gave him a face everyone could recognize. And in the 1930s, during the Great Depression, when the world was cold and afraid, Santa became warmer, rounder, kinder, more human. Coca-Cola advertisement fixed the red suit, white beard, and jolly smile. America didn't invent Santa, but it broadcast him through movies, television, advertising, and the image spread everywhere. From America, this image spread worldwide through media and marketing. Santa Claus became a global figure, but his modern image is the result of many cultures contributing over centuries. Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America. In malls, hospitals, orphanages, refugee camps, often adapted to local cultures and values, Santa is not owned by any nation. He represents generosity, compassion, giving without applause, showing up for the forgotten, different clothes, different customs, same heart, generosity, compassion, presence. Santa was never owned by one country, he belonged to people, but here's the danger. When a story becomes popular, it can lose its purpose. Santa slowly shifted from a giver to a product, from a quiet helper to a loud symbol, from secret generosity to public celebration, and somewhere along the way, people stopped asking, "Who needs help?" and started asking, "What did I get?" So no, Santa is not American. And Santa is not seasonal. Santa is not owned by December, or a country, or a corporation. Santa is an idea, a calling, a reminder. That kindness doesn't need permission. That generosity doesn't need applause. That compassion doesn't need a calendar. Because while some children unwrap gifts, others unwrap silence. While some homes glow with warmth, others glow with absence. Hospital corridors don't close for Christmas. Lonely rooms don't pause for holidays. Hunger doesn't wait for January. But who is Santa now? Santa isn't a man in a red suit anymore. Santa is a nurse who stays late, a teacher who refuses to give up, a volunteer who shows up when no one is watching, a neighbor who knocks instead of scrolling past, a stranger who stops instead of walking away. Santa lives wherever someone chooses to care. So if Santa didn't come this year, maybe he was waiting to be chosen, waiting to be lived out, waiting to be carried forward by ordinary people doing extraordinary kindness. Because the truth is simple and uncomfortable. Santa isn't missing. He's multiplying. Through you, through me, through anyone brave enough to give without being asked. And the world doesn't need this once a year. It needs this every day.